Welcome to Biz Dev Live. My name is Cameron Toth, and I am so excited to bring you the amazing Seth Greenwald. He's going to unlock your creativity today. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to talk about how public speaking skills can really unlock your career advancement. In every facet, everywhere you go, communication skills are the thing that you need to really progress, expand your personal brand, and connect with the people you need to push your business forward. We're going to get into all of that and more right after the Biz Dev theme.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
Seth B. Greenwald is a best-selling author, keynote speaker, and popular presentation coach for corporate executives, project managers, and team leaders. His entertaining and engaging workshop called An Engineer's Formula for Leadership Success via Public Speaking Excellence is highly regarded among America's corporate leaders. Seth is a frequent speaker at industry conferences and corporate events. He holds a mechanical engineering degree from the Cooper Union and an industrial design degree from Pratt Institute. Seth earned his project management professional certificate from PMI. His extensive professional experience includes the design of many award-winning retail and commercial interior projects, as well as leading design teams as a technical project manager for a large public engineering agency. He'll tell you all about that and more. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being with me today, Seth.
Appreciate that wonderful introduction.
Well, thank you very much for that. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now. Talk to us about the book. Talk to us about the workshop. Talk to us, about the way that we met in terms of Toastmasters and your roles there, so that everybody's sort of on board with what you're doing right now. And then I'd love to get into your backstory here.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much, Cameron. I'm assuming that you want to know a little bit about Sherpa Seth. Is that correct? Sherpa Seth. I'll start with Sherpa Seth. I think I promised you that I wouldn't embarrass your audience by putting on the Sherpa hat, but here it is. Here is my Sherpa hat. I do put this on during my online courses in public speaking excellence. Sherpa Seth is basically your friendly guide as we go up to the peak of public speaking excellence. I always have been obsessed with mountain climbing, even though I don't climb mountains. It's because, why? It's because it's there, right? The mountain's there. I like to climb it, and everything is about continuous improvement with me. My whole life has been a journey of exploration. I just enjoy doing things and pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And you mentioned my book. It's pretty much today is the 9th year anniversary of writing my first book called The Secrets of a Creative Warrior. And it's all about pushing myself out of my comfort zone. It's all about keeping an open mindset. It's always about being creative, because if you're not creative, life's just going to slip on by you. If you just have one idea, you're not going to be going anywhere. It's just, you need a creative mindset. And the book is all about more than 60 ways to do things, any simple activities that affect your everyday thinking. So that's the book. That was 9 years ago. Just recently, a few months ago, I started with my first online course. So everything is on Zoom, on StreamYard, everything is virtual. So I said, what am I going to do with my time? Since there's no conference I used to be a big on live conferences, but I'm like, well, what am I going to do this year? Assuming the pandemic lasts for a year. So I created an online course called Sherpa Seth's Public Speaking Excellence. So it's all good. And here I am. Thank you for inviting me.
Sorry, what's your official role with Toastmasters? I know we met through Toastmasters, so I wanted to make sure that people knew that connection.
Yes. Toastmasters. My official role, I've been doing Toastmasters for more than a decade now, and you and I have met through a club in Westchester called Hudson River Toastmasters. I'm the vice president of membership for that club, so I try to bring in new members and keep our existing members happy. And I've been a president of the club. I've been a division director of 350 clubs within the metropolitan New York City area. And it's transformed my life. And that's why I'm so into public speaking at this juncture, because it all started with Toastmasters. Can't say enough about that organization.
That's amazing. And I started with Toastmasters this year, and I'm pretty excited about it because I do the show every day. And so I want to get better. I want to provide more value. I want to be a better communicator. And Toastmasters is one of those perfect places to improve your communication skills. I know we're going to get into more of that later, but I want you to talk to me about your background. I want you to talk to me how you became Sherpa Seth. I want you to talk to me about why you became passionate, how you ended up joining Toastmasters, and why you've been doing this whole teaching thing, even with the Army Corps of Engineers, in terms of how you got involved with that. I'd love to hear the whole background here, and I'm sure you got some folks that would love to hear it as well. And for everybody watching, please, in the comments, let us know where you're viewing in from. If you have questions for Seth, please share those. Show your love. We want to hear you in the comments. We love to make this participatory, and if there's things that we can provide in terms of networking and value and communication skills and questions around those things that we can specifically help you and your business with, we want to do that. So please participate in the chat. We love you for that. All right, go ahead, Seth. Talk to us about the background story.
The background story. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. The background is so much. I was thinking about where did this all start? Where did this Sherpa Seth thing start? And I can tell you that when I was young, I always liked to understand how things worked, right? So I always liked to break things down, break the world down. I had a poster in my bedroom of the solar system, and I would just imagine moving on to Mercury and Mars and Venus and going beyond the solar system. And it was my exploratory phase. So, but the point is that I really enjoyed seeing the whole, seeing the parts of a whole. So I was always analytical, right? And I think that's what just made me a good engineer, and why I went to Cooper Union for mechanical engineering. I just saw the world as a whole, and the parts of the whole, and the relationship of the parts to each of the other parts. So that was my engineering background. And when I went to Cooper Union, it was in New York City, down in the East Village, back in the 80s, a long time ago. And I saw a lot of artists running around. That was when the punk rockers came in, and all the creative people were in the East Village. And I said, why can't I also be that? Why do I have to be only an engineer? So there was no answer why I couldn't be an artist and an engineer. So I went to Pratt Institute for industrial design, which is basically the European version of the School of Design, called the Bauhaus. Came over in the 1920s and started teaching in Pratt. And it just helped me to balance my analytical side with my artistic side. And that is the theme for my life. My wife has given me another hat other than the Sherpa hat. It's called the Kirk, the philosopher. and it's Kierkegaard is the philosopher. And basically, my whole life has been a sort of a yin and yang type of thing, where yin being the receptive, the artistic, the creative, and the yang being more the active, the outward expression of your ideas. And that is what I call the warrior. So when I speak about the creative warrior, which is another of my hats other than the Sherpa Seth hat, it's more of a blending of the internal idea, inspiration, and the external expressing those ideas. And I can tell you that you need both. It's great to be an artist. It's great to be a designer. It's great to have a lot of ideas, but you need to express those ideas. And I didn't start doing that until until I was like 7 years old. The story is that my first entrepreneurial impulse was when I was living in Long Island, and my parents took me to the beach, and I said, wow, these shells are really nice. So I took a bunch of shells back in my coat pocket, and I put them on my shelf in my room, and I'm like, well, I want to share these shells with the world. So I put the shells, these beautiful shells and these beautiful rocks, into a box, into a shoebox. I cut a hole in the top of the shoebox, and I started moving around. When I was 7 years old, I started walking around the neighborhood, kind of showing my mobile museum of beautiful shells. And I was charging a dime to see my shoebox worth of shells, and I made a few dollars there. And so that was when I was 7 years old. So it's the idea. Awesome. Isn't it a funny story? Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's just kept on going. My entrepreneurial mindset has kept me excited. I have written 3 books. I self-published those 3 books. It's not just about, and I have books all over the place. Here's a secret for you. Every morning at 3:30 in the morning, I get woken up by my muse. I'm not ashamed to say that I have a muse. I do call him the creative warrior, and he is real. And he wakes me up every morning at 3:30, and he says, take an index card and put the idea down for later. And those are the ideas. Those are the inspirations that I collect every day. But I want to share it. I want to share those inspirational thoughts.
All right, I got a follow-up question. And make sure that if you got any volume on a exterior video, that's off, so we don't got echo and feedback. But the 3:30 in the morning, you're getting up. So do you go back to sleep, or are you up every day at 3:30 and off into the day?
Well, I guess it depends on how my muse is feeling. If he doesn't want me to be sleeping, he'll keep me up till maybe like 4:30 or 5. But if he's, being an okay guy, he'll just let me go right back to sleep after I get the idea onto the card, get it out of my head and onto the card. That's the key. And it's been an amazing journey, recognizing that I have an inner muse, and everyone has an inner muse, and you can connect with your inner muse, and that's the power of creativity.
So talk to me about the 3 books. What are the 3 book titles? I want to know what those are, and then we'll talk about why you wrote these books. And I'm also really curious how you went from engineering and that being your passion to the Army Corps of Engineers, and how that ended up translating into being somebody that teaches and does workshops on presentation skills.
Oh yeah, sure. So the first book is called Secrets of a Creative Warrior, and the premise behind that book is simply that there are very simple activities that can that you can do, that breaks you out of your habitual thinking, that helps you to become more creative, helps you to enhance your creativity, but just by doing simple things like, you know how every day before COVID we would go down to the train station at exactly the same time. I would get there exactly at 6:28, for a 6:32 train. I gave myself a few minutes for coffee, but then I realized, why do I have to do that? I'm like on autopilot. Why do I have to do that every single day? So I just decided to change the route. I walked to the station. I decided to change the route, and everything changed for me just by that little change. It just opened my mind, because once you break out of your habitual thinking and your habitual seeing, you start to see the world in fresh ways. And it all starts with just doing something different. So that was the first book, Secrets of a Creative Warrior. The second book is called Answering the Call of Your Creative Warrior. Right? Here's a bookmark from there. There's my creative warrior down there. And there he is. That's when I realized that not only can you become a creative warrior by doing these simple exercises, by becoming more open-minded, but there is literally a creative warrior inside everybody. It's your muse. And I'm not going to say it's like an actual entity, though if you treat him or her like something outside of yourself, you get much more bang for the buck, because it's not your ego saying, hey, I'm creative. It's something that the inspiration comes from outside of yourself. And as soon as I started realizing that there is something outside myself, inspiration. Some people call inspiration, intuition, the aha moment. But as soon as I realized that it was something outside of my ego, it became it was a whole new ballgame. So that second book, Answering the Call of Your Creative Warrior, just is my journey to how I found my creative warrior and how you can find your creative warrior. And it's just broken down in 21 days, because you can change a habit in 21 days. So it just goes through a step-by-step process to find your inner muse that can change your life.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things interesting, and Jacqueline brought up, great idea to wake up and write it down. I know that's a big piece of advice for a lot of creative professionals, but I think it's great for business professionals as well, to make sure that you have a notepad by your bed so you can write ideas. I know for myself, I sleep very soundly, so nobody's waking me up at 3:30. I'm already getting up at 4:30 for the 5 a.m. club. I'm in with Lynn Rowe and my crew that gets up with me at 5 a.m. For anybody that's watching, shout out to them. But the idea that you structure that and make sure that's a part of your routine. I know for me, a part of my 5 a.m. club routine is making sure, or like a best practice for it anyways, is making sure that the night before I take some time in the bed and write down what my win was from the day and what the 3 things I want to do tomorrow are. And usually just thinking through that usually sparks some ideas and creativity around the things that I want to do in my business. It gets me into a flow. I had Denise Panza on here on Friday, and she's killing it on LinkedIn. She's mortgage sales. And so she creates these great videos for LinkedIn, and she comes up with the ideas for her videos by laying in the bed and meditating. Is one of my viewers. Great, create up with the term. So, you're meditating while you're dreaming, and you get your muse going at 3:30 in the morning. They wake you up and you get it down. And I love that piece of it. And I just want to shout out Jacqueline Vasquez for saying that. Daron Taylor from the Peace Scale Toastmasters, thanks for checking in. John Bernabe says inspirational thinking outside the box. So thanks everybody for tuning in. So talk to us how you went from the engineering side to the creative side and writing books.
Well, I had the short answer is I had a long commute into the city where I worked for the Army Corps of Engineers as an engineering manager. And I had a long commute, and a lot about management is all about organizing your time. So I had nearly an hour, actually 2 hours, right, in and out. I nearly had 2 hours per day, just sitting around, napping, daydreaming. And I realized that wasn't a good use of my time. So I just started scribbling. I just started writing notes in my iPhone. Right, 9 years ago, I got an iPhone and I started writing the notes in the iPhone. And then one note led to another, and the notes led to articles and blog posts, and it was all in my phone. And the notes and articles led to chapters, and the chapters led to a book. And I think I was one of the first people to write my book in my iPhone. So in my notes section of my iPhone, notes, I'm all about notes, notes all around, notebooks all around, I wrote my book. So to answer your question, it just came naturally. I just have a lot of ideas, and I wanted to share it with the world. And so I self-published my first book. I'm a DIY guy, right? Engineers like to do it themselves, figure it out myself. So it was just a wonderful meshing of my engineering analytical mind with my do-it-yourself mind. And so it's again, it goes back to, the yin yang thing, where it's all about having ideas, thinking the inner world, and then expressing those ideas to the outer world. And unless you balance the two, you're going to feel kind of not fully yourself, right? You're not going to reach your potential unless you balance the two poles, right?
I love the piece of this where we're talking about in terms of like you had a choice, like on that train, you could go to sleep, you could listen to podcasts, watch movies, but you were probably in addition to some of those things, also putting down notes and writing down notes for your book. I've heard people talk about a lot of different ways to get your book out. There's lots of things that you can do to ramp up and speed up. But I think one of those things, especially as the way that humans work, you're trying to do a long form project, little bites, right? And people that start blogs and do small blog posts. I know the author of Atomic Habits, James Clear, which I was just looking up on my bookshelf for reference. He had a blog, and he would research the blog, and then later on he took those blog posts and created a book out of, which is an amazing book, by the way, for anybody that wants to, because you referenced it takes 21 days to change a habit, and that's one of those books that takes advantage of exactly that information. A lot of things like make sure that if you want to get something done, like eat healthy, that food is in front of you and obvious. So we've talked about that as well, like have the pen and pad by the paper so that it's easy and available to you so you can create those habits. I love things like that. And I love the engineering perspective as well, because I've been surprised by engineers. I'm not an engineer myself. So when I've run into engineers where they were heads of food service companies, and I was like, why are you doing this whole food service thing? You're an engineer. And the response to the woman that was the head of that business was, I do it's the way I think. I'm an engineer every day. And so I thought that was an amazing revelation that, just getting into that kind of engineering mindset is really great. So hopefully you can talk a little bit to that. I know we want to talk about sort of the big piece of creativity. So how can people be more creative? And I think maybe part of this is in the engineering answer as well, because I think, especially in terms of what I just said, in terms of like writing the wind down, writing down the things of what I'm going to do tomorrow. And now that starts my creativity. I think our analytical mind can really spur our creative mind.
You hit it on the head, Cameron. Creativity is all about something called divergent thinking, right? Divergent thinking. I love this topic because as an engineer, as a young engineer, I didn't have this concept down. And until I figured this concept out, I was not as creative as I can be. As a young engineer, I had the convergent mindset down, right? Convergent mindset being making a decision, right? Converging onto the best possible idea. I had that down in spades. The only problem was I only had one idea to choose from. When you only have one idea to choose from, that's going to be your best idea. But is it best? No. There's a lot of other ideas out there. So as soon as you figure out that divergent mindset comes before convergent mindset, that's when your creativity will explode. Because the key here is to come up with ideas without judging them, correct? You come up with a bunch of ideas. It's quantity over quality. You come up with a batch of ideas. Just come up with ideas. Idea, one after another. And you don't judge it. You don't evaluate it. You don't say which is better, which is worse. You just have a bunch of ideas, a pool of ideas. And then when you're tired and you have 100, 200, 300 ideas, then you go into your pool of ideas and then you evaluate which one you want to move forward with. And that's all there is to creativity, understanding that divergent thinking comes before convergent thinking. So
I love that.
Thanks.
It's not something that I really kind of put in terms in that divergent and convergent. So I'm glad you laid that out. Talk to me about the public speaking piece of all this. What value have you gotten from your own career, and how have you seen it affect others?
The public speaking. Oh, well, the public speaking is like, wow. It's helped me in so many ways because I've always, before public speaking, right, I had a lot of ideas. I always had a lot of ideas, but they were internal. I never felt comfortable just speaking, just letting those ideas out, just speaking out loud. It's a difference between being extroverted and introverted. It's introverts like to think about what they're going to say before they say it. Extroverts like to just say it, speak out loud, and figure out what they're saying as they say it. So I was always an introvert before public speaking. And that's fine because in my course, the public speaking course, which I call Page to Stage, you need to come up with the ideas. You need to write them down on the page before you get up on stage. You need to prepare. You can't just wing a 5-minute, 10-minute, half an hour talk. I mean, you can, but you'll meander all over the place. You need a structure, yin yang, right? Chaos and then order. First, you have the chaos of the ideas, then you structure those ideas into an outline, a speech outline. And my course called Page to Stage, I combined my engineering analytical side, right? Because I've come up in my last book, my third book is called An Engineer's Formula for Public Speaking Excellence. And I have come up with an actual formula on how to be an excellent public speaker. And it's simply broken down to 5 elements. And the elements are mindset, message, structure, audience engagement, and authenticity. Now,
say that one more time slowly for those taking the audience.
All right. So the formula for public speaking excellence consists of 5 elements. And the elements are creating the right mindset through preparation, understanding your message, crystal clear, single digit message, one speech, putting that message in a structure, a logical structure, so that people could understand it and everything you say supports your message. It's not about your presentation, it's about your message. Your message supports your presentation. And then, so once you get out of those 3 elements, once you get off the page, you go to the stage. The stage is simply knowing who you are, finding your authentic you, finding your true speaker voice. And that comes from understanding who you are, understanding what you're all about. Everyone is unique. Even though there's 6 billion people in the world, you are unique, and you have to find that, and that's what your creative word will help you find your unique speaking voice. And then the key that Toastmasters does cover it, but I cover it more in depth, is engaging with your audience. You're always speaking to a specific audience, so your presentation better be tailored to that audience and how to engage those people in the audience. Now, the exciting part, Cameron, is that this was a course I took my students up to the peak of public speaking excellence back in September with this course. But I'm creating another course to introduce creativity as a 6th element of public speaking excellence, because you could prepare all you want, but just like in Toastmasters, you can do a great prepared speech, but no one wants to see you just speak like a robot on stage, and you need spontaneity. And that's what creativity does. It helps you to become a spontaneous speaker, even though you have prepared well. It's a lot like table topics, impromptu speaking, and Toastmasters. So again, it's preparation and spontaneity together.
I want to talk about the idea of what it looks like to be a good speaker, right? So there's the having a message. I mean, you talk to it, mindset, message, structure, right? The idea of putting your words together, making sure that you put it on the page so that you can bring it to the stage. There's a certain amount of memorization. I know that, with Toastmasters, the recommendation is, and I think this is a great recommendation for people, is not to write out every word, but to have your speech, practice it, but really the bullet points of the things that you want to get across so that you can say it effectively. In Toastmasters, there's things like the counter and staying away from the filler words so that I'm not saying so and all the different things that will get in the way of my message being communicated to who I'm speaking with. And I know whether it's on a stage or it's in a conference room, or it's simply one-to-one with somebody trying to get my message across, my need, my ask, my passion for something across, the idea of having that structure in place, having my message in place is incredibly important. I also understand when you want to make something sound not phoned in, right? So I'm reading a script, and so it doesn't have that passion to it. And I also understand the idea that no matter how well you write something out, no matter how much you remember something, if you do not connect the feeling and the feeling of the audience to what you're doing, it probably won't connect. And the thing that I've found that is most helpful with that is practice. And when you see folks that seem like very natural speakers, I'm talking about your Tony Robbins, your Oprahs, your Gary Vaynerchuk, who I love to follow, these folks that do get on stage seemingly without a plan. They'll tell you as much. I didn't write something to come on stage here. This is my feeling. The understanding there, or the misunderstanding there, is the fact that they have put in so much practice into their craft. It's like, whatever your specialty, whatever your expertise, if you wake up every day and you make a widget, you're going to be pretty awesome at making that widget. These folks wake up every day and do these public speaking pieces every single day. So obviously they're going to be pretty good at them. And if you want to get good at them, for my folks in the audience, that is the thing that needs to happen, is this practice. And I think working with somebody, or working with an organization like Toastmasters, going and digging into your public speaking skills in a workshop with Seth, this is the way you get to that place where you can be natural. I really want folks to ask questions about how they can use public speaking, or what they should do to prove their public speaking in the comments, so that we can really help people in particular. So definitely send a comment through, whether it's just something that you've gotten from Toastmasters or another public speaking course that you can share insight on, or ask that question that's very specific to this, so that Seth can dive deep and give you that kind of input that you need. Do you want to kind of jump in further on that, Seth?
Yeah. Oh, sure. It's, I'm passionate about speaking, about public speaking, and you hit the nail on the head. These people who just seem so natural, it's because they've done it's in their bones. What they're speaking about is in their bones. Their topic, they understand it so deeply that they don't need to practice anymore, because it just comes out. And the first thing that we do in the Page to Stage Engineers formula is to go over something called ARM Yourself in the preparation phase, right? ARM Yourself is an acronym, ARM. A being audience. Who is the audience you're speaking to? Is it a bunch of dentists, or is it a bunch of engineers? Is it house husbands, or is it soccer moms? You just got to understand who you're speaking to, because every speech that you put together needs to be tailored to the specific audience. No one wants to hear a message that isn't for them, that doesn't resonate for them. So we arm ourselves. A being audience, R being the room. Where are you? Are you on a large venue or a small venue? Are you speaking while people are eating, or are you speaking at a stadium? Are you speaking at a jazz club? You need to understand the room. Is it very intimate? Is it very formal? So R is the second element of the arming yourself before you even get on stage. You got to understand. And M, the most important, M is the message. What is the message? What are you talking about? What is your point? What's the point? If someone says, hey, what's the point? You need to know what your point is. And you need to know the point in 10 words or less, a single digit message. As soon as you can whittle your message down into 10 words or less, you're golden. So arm yourself. Don't just go up on stage.
How do you recommend that people do that? Because I think that's one of the toughest things that I know I've had a challenge with. I want to get something across. I want to be brief, because I know people have short attention spans. I want to get my message across, but I want to provide that context. So how do you recommend folks keep their communication brief? Obviously, I think part of the whole piece is you want to say enough that keeps people interested and asking questions and coming back for more, so that there's that opportunity to speak more and provide more context. But it sort of seems like a chicken and egg kind of conversation. Does the context come first, or does this point or message come first? How do you figure that out when you're trying to deliver your message?
Right. Yeah, that's an excellent question, Cameron, because a lot of times your message is not stated, right? You don't start your speech off with your message. It's something that you know. It's something you know. 9-word speech would be quite short. People want more than the 9-word speech. So it's something you don't really state. It's something you know in your bones. What you do is to support your message with stories, right? It could be with personal stories. It could be case studies. It could be anything that supports the message, and anything that arouses the emotion and engages your audience. And that's where a good speaker is. It's so wonderful to be in the presence of a good speaker, because they have the stories that support their message. So I told you the story about the mobile shell museum, and the message was that I was an entrepreneur from a very young age. It's the stories that people tune into. It's not the 9-word message. That 9-word message is just something that guides you. And you can speak for as long as you want, as long as it's interactive, and as long as it grabs the audience, and as long as it stays on topic, as long as it stays on message. Because my mentor, Harvey Bernstein, when my first design job, we did a lot of retail stores, Speedo, if you remember Speedo bathing suits. I designed the first Speedo store in Beverly Hills, but his message was one dress, one idea, right? So if you're wearing something, it's not a crazy looking thing. There's only one idea in that dress. There's only one big idea in that store that I designed. There's only one big idea in that book that I write, that 150-page book. But it all adds up to that one big idea. So that's the thing. That's the first thing you have to understand. What is your big idea?
Yeah, I think people are easily distracted. You go off in tangents, especially in casual conversations, but you can see it with speakers too. If they start going down a road, they start shooting off the hip, and then suddenly they've lost themselves, or taking a question in the middle of a speech, and then that leads to something else. So being focused in that way and understanding and being very centered on your message, I think, is extremely important. Sort of to that point, I love this question from Amethius, I think. Is how you pronounce that? Amethius Hamill.
Mm-hmm.
Seth says, hey, Seth, what's the best way to organize your creative ideas on index cards? And I like this question for two reasons, because it's a very practical and specific question for maybe, you're getting your speech in front of the boardroom, or maybe for Toastmasters, or getting ready to go on stage at the TED Talk, and you just want to make sure that you have your ideas, your thoughts collected, and your bullet points strategized. But it also is, I think, very much on topic for what we're talking about, because if you're trying to get your message across, organization is key. So please speak to this question. So.
Thanks, Amethius. Nice to have you on the show. This is the key to it all, Amethius. Thank you. So, ideas. Every index card I have has one idea from my creative word, who woke me up at 3:30 that morning. It's the one idea on the card. So it's not organized, right? It's at 3:30 in the morning. I'm very tired. I'm like this. I'm like, do you have to wake me up to? And he's like, yeah, you have to write this down. This is a good idea. So get up, get your pen, put it on your index card. Don't worry if it's not straight, and if you need to be able to read it, of course. So put your glasses on. So having said that, every index card has one idea on it. Don't worry about the organization of that index card at 3:30 in the morning, because it doesn't matter. Now, let's say you have 10 index cards, 10 days worth of sleepy days. All you need to do is organize the index cards in the way you want to organize the index cards, with this type of organizational system, which is basically a piece of plastic where you fit in your ideas, right? So for Cameron's interview, I have this piece of plastic.
Love that. Is that like an Avery product or something? Is that something they can find online?
Oh yeah, this is an Avery product, 8.5 by 11. It has 5 different pockets, and you put in 5 different index cards, any order you want. And that is the outline to your speech, to your presentation, to your Q&A session, to your Toastmaster speech, award-winning speech. It's something I recently, hold on, Cameron.
I love that. And it's a very specific question that allows for a very specific answer. So hopefully, Amethius, is that something that would be helpful for you? I know I've seen people organize things by topics in a little index card box. They make a ton of products around that. So hopefully that's the sort of answer that you are looking for. But if there's something more that you want to dig into, send us a follow-up question. We'd love to go deeper on it. Because I love that kind of thing, because those are, wasn't the answer I was thinking of for sure. And I love that it was very specific, and hopefully that's very helpful to Amethius. What are the ways that you suggest, if you got a creative person and they're wanting to organize their ideas in general, how would you recommend? I know I keep a journal, but I know a lot of the stuff gets lost. I've tried to do Google document. I don't remember to go back to the Google document. It gets lost. So how do you recommend sort of people organize their ideas and sort of keep things in the works?
One of the best questions ever, Cameron, because I've struggled with that in my early days, because to go back to the index card thing, I used to put the index cards with a clip, right? But then all your ideas get lost. You just throw this somewhere and you never look at it again. And it's disheartening, the fact that you have so many ideas, but you don't put those ideas together to make something larger, right? That's the key. Start small and build. Start with one idea and build on that idea and build on that idea and put the ideas together into a theme and put the theme into chapters and the chapters into a book. It's simply keeping the ideas out in front of you so that your creative mind can connect the dots, right? Steve Jobs says creativity is just a set of dots. It is. Creativity is simply a set of index cards that you connect to make a bigger and bigger and bigger idea, expression of your ideas. And so don't worry about what you're going to do. Just go see creativity and expression as a journey. Just move from one idea to the next and see it as a continuous journey. Everyone knows Stephen King, right? One of the most prolific authors of all times. He's something called a pantser. He's a pantser type of writer. He doesn't know, most of his books, he doesn't know what he's going to write about. He just starts with an idea, kind of like a what if this happened? He starts with a premise, and then he just goes with it. And I want you guys to really understand this, because life is a journey, okay? And writing can help you on that journey. And the journey is simply putting one foot in front of the other. What's that? What is Lao Tzu? I'm putting my Kirk the philosopher hat on. Lao Tzu says your journey of 10,000 miles starts with one single step. It's true. It's true. Just don't worry about where you're headed, where your journey is headed. Just start one foot in front of the other, and then you'll figure out your destination as you're on your path. You'll create your own path. As you can see, my Kirk the philosopher hat is in full gear today.
Let me ask you this question, because I have a 12-year-old son. I've started, and I've fallen into the same problem. He's truly my child, right? I've started books, I started writing, and didn't finish. And so he's incredibly creative. He's got ideas for days. Not only is he a good writer, but he's a good artist, which is just an amazing combination, right? He's 12 years old, and I am always encouraging him. He gets started writing, and I know that he may not finish what he's doing, and not because I don't want him to, but just because I've seen that trend, right? And I can recognize that he's probably following in his father's footsteps. So I'm trying to be a good example and finish more things and be the example to follow. But I often encourage him to think about things with not necessarily the end in mind, but at least a plan, like an outline. So what's the beginning, the middle, the end going to look like? Is that the right way to go about it with somebody, or should I just be encouraging them to just write and free write? And then, that at least gives you the material to edit, or is that just one way, or am I just throwing everything at the, everything, including the kitchen sink, at the wall and just hoping that something sticks? Or is there a more direct strategy that I should be trying to employ to get him to finish a project, so that it could be something that could potentially be published?
I love this, Cameron. These are my favorite topics. So you're talking to a 12-year-old who doesn't have the capacity yet, the thinking capacity to plan. He doesn't understand plan. He doesn't understand future. He doesn't understand. Well, all he understands is play, right? The only difference is that one letter between play and plan. He's all about play. He's all about being in the present moment. A 12-year-old, and that's why 12-year-olds are so happy. That's why kids are so happy, because they understand how to stay in the present moment. And that's what us adults want to do. We want to be creative. That's what our creative warrior wants us to do. It wants us to stay in the present moment. We know how to do that. We were kids. We just have to remember how to play. So, and playing is fun, right? That's the reason why I got into writing books and public speaking, because it's given me the opportunity to play. You understand? I got into public speaking because I like the impromptu side of things more than the planning, the preparing side of things. Though I know that you need both, but the key for me is that I connected with my inner kid again through public speaking, through impromptu, through improvisation, through something Toastmasters calls table topics. This is why I love public speaking. So to answer your question, I would say just let a kid be a kid, cultivate that playful attitude, and as he gets a little older, then you could introduce the idea of planning. But you do, like you said, you do need to have that content. You do need to have that the pool, the bucket of ideas, and the only way to do that is to play. All right, so don't forget about that important aspect of our being.
And I'm always put together because he has lots of creative ideas. I know part of our thing today has been put it on the page. And I'm always saying when he starts on telling me this long creative idea, Leo, have you wrote it down? Have you put it on the page? And I have a feeling I know the answer to this question, but I think this is of value to the audience. So I'll ask you, is that the right thing to be telling him?
To put it on, oh yeah, to put it on the page, yeah. But remember, put it on the page without judgment, right? Keep on putting those ideas on the page, because if you don't put it on the page, you will forget it very soon. If I try to go back to sleep, and not put it on my index card, when I wake up, it is not there. So yes, definitely get it on the page. Collect those ideas for. Maybe you don't use an idea right now. Maybe in 5-10 weeks, 5-10 years, you come back and say, "Oh, that was a great idea. I want to use it." But if you never put it down, if you never capture your idea, your fleeting idea, you're never going to capture the moment that it comes. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of inspiration. It's there, but you do have to capture it on the page, but you don't judge it. You don't judge, "Oh, this is a stupid idea." No idea is stupid. You've heard that, right? No idea is stupid. It just depends on the context, on how you use it and when you use it. So again,
that's the difference between geniuses, folks that are out in the public sphere that have gotten themselves out there, and your next door neighbor or the person that isn't out there. And I think one of the big things that sort of goes into that is there's a lot of people saying, "Why me?" and not enough people saying, "Why not me?" And that idea that your idea, your experience is truly valuable. I'm talking about my kids, my 14-year-old girl, she's done honor roll all through middle school. And I said, listen, because I know this, right? Because I understand the whole why not me, you have a valuable story. There's tons of parents that want to know how to get their middle schooler to get good grades, right? And there's a ton of middle school kids that want to understand how to, fit all this stuff in, take care of their siblings, and get good grades in school. What's the motivation behind that? Why do you care? That is going to be of tremendous value. And especially because it's coming from your point of view as a 14-year-old, people are going to eat that up. But I don't think enough of us understand that, there is an audience for what we're putting out there. So we've talked today about creativity. We talked about the value of public speaking and how it can help people's career. I hope we've touched enough on that. The idea that being a better communicator, no matter where you are, is awesome for not only your personal brand, but if you're trying to build something and bring people together, those communication skills are really important. It all starts with, can you communicate the message, the idea across to others? We have talked a little bit about having fun, but I want you to expand on this, right? So we talked about it in the context of my 12-year-old, but how should people be creating fun with their communication, with their public speaking, with putting their ideas together?
Yeah, that's the crux of the matter, isn't it? To create fun. Well, everyone, fears public speaking. It's the number one fear, even worse than the fear of death, right? That's Jerry Seinfeld. So what is this? What does he mean? What is this? What does this guy who calls himself Sherpa Seth mean by having fun? How can he have fun while he's speaking? It's because it's allowed me to express my ideas freely. Here's a metaphor. Would you rather be stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Long Island Expressway, or would you rather go 100 miles an hour on the Autobahn in Germany? Think about that. I would choose the latter. I would choose the 100 miles an hour. I'm a car guy. I'm an industrial designer. I want to feel free. Freedom is power.
I was going to say, I haven't been on the Autobahn, but definitely the Autobahn.
It's a feeling of power. And when you're on the stage and when you express yourselves as if you were on the Autobahn, it feels fantastic because it's coming out of your authentic you. It's coming out of the moment. You're grounded in the moment. And the fun part is the play. And you don't have to think about what you're talking about because you've already decided, you already understand your message, but you're in the moment. The whole key about having fun and playfulness is staying in the moment. It's a psychological state called flow. I think my whole life, my whole reason for doing public speaking is because I entered the state called flow. It's a spontaneous speaking. It's a creative speaking. It brings creativity into the realm of public speaking. And the two meld. And so it's the page, it's the stage part. It's a creative part of page to stage, right? First, don't forget, you have to prepare, but once you prepare, then you can wing it because you've prepared so well. It's kind of a contradiction, but you can't, but that's what I'm talking about. And my whole life is a contradiction. My whole life is about bringing yin and yang together, right? Always seeking out the gray, always bringing the two polar opposites together. And when you learn how to do that, you've got it made. Your life will be so much fun just because you know how to prepare and you know how to wing it at the same time.
I think that is a key piece for just about every profession. It's tough. It's hard work. It is definitely the most challenging aspect of just about anything that you're going to get involved with. The ability to master something to the point that you can have fun with it. Going back to my kids, I'm really harping on my children today, but they're trying to learn instruments. So this is the creative thing. We want them to get, but there's nothing really that creative about learning the instrument. The creativity comes when you've learned it, when you've mastered Jingle Bells and whatever other song that you are being taught, so that you learn the notes, you're able to read the music. Once you got the language down, and that's very much the human language, right? Whether it's English or whatever language you speak, music is another language. Professional speaking, if you want to go into a room and have fun with it, be prepared. I'm going back to my speech just before the final winter holidays of 2020. I had gotten some feedback on one speech that it was a little bit too much prepared, reading off of my script, and and people wanted to see more of a off the hip style and a little bit more personality to it. And so what I did was, before the meeting, now a little bit too close to the meeting, I wish I would have done a little bit more preparation, but sometimes doing some homework and refreshing just before a meeting is good because it's all fresh in your brain. And so I went through the LinkedIn profiles of everybody that was in the membership. And so I knew what people had put down. I put notes together. And so that speech, I think it came off well in terms of not only a message, but I had some fun with it because I could point to different people and really connect with people in the room in terms of their professions and careers and say, who this person is. And so that was fun. I mean, it was fun in the sense that I had a good time doing it. And I think people that were in the room with me had fun with it. A little tough because we're all virtual. Some of those kind of moments and public speaking are a little tough of the virtual. We're still trying to figure the whole virtual and hybrid piece of it out. But I had fun doing it, and I know people will have fun if they prepare and they know their business and they have the answers. More often than not, people are super appreciative of that. They eat it up. Right now, we got this new Clubhouse app. And so people that really know their trade, really know their skill set, because this is definitely not a prepared speech platform. It's definitely very much an interactive platform, and it's audio. So it does take the physical video components out of it. So as long as you know how to speak, and whether you're in your pajamas or in your suit, it's an equal playing zone for you on the platform. But the idea, if you know what you're talking about, that you can really, really get a lot of influence. You can grab a lot of influence on that app. And if you're somebody that is going out to learn something, you can float around to the room just like at a conference and find the room that's giving you the information that you want with the person that's speaking up the front of the room that's communicating that message out really clearly. It's probably a new day for public speaking on the Clubhouse app. So I wanted to both point out the fact that the Clubhouse app is out there and people should probably jump on it while it's fresh, and also point out, hey, these public speaking skills, if you weren't working on them before, the world is going in that direction. So you should be working on them now, and make sure you sign up for Seth's workshop so you can get a little bit better at what you're doing. Seth, yeah. I'm going to let you jump in here, but I know we're at the top of the hour, and I want to make sure that people know how to get a hold of you. So please respond to all that. I know I laid a lot down, but also let people know how they can reach you and who should be reaching out to you.
Yeah, I had so much fun today, Cameron. I appreciate you. So if you want to become a better speaker, if you want to have more fun while speaking, if you want to advance your career, I am setting up another bold journey up to the peak of public speaking excellence. I'll be your friendly guide, Sherpa Seth. I'll get you up there. We'll go up the 5 base camps up to the peak of public speaking excellence. And I'm pleased to announce that I am going to be introducing another camp based on spontaneity speaking, based on creativity, and it's going to be all about helping you improvise on stage, just as we've been talking about, how to have more fun, how to be a better Q&A participant, how to have those answers to those questions that come out of you from left field, how to have a better interview for a job. It's all about my course, Public Speaking Excellence. So if you want to be part of the next wave of explorers going up to the peak of public speaking excellence, then just contact me. Go to my website. It's creativewarriorsecrets.com/page to stage, 2 being a number. So creativewarriorsecrets.com/page to stage, and you can sign up there.
I made it really easy, folks. Your LinkedIn down below, as well as your website. Creative Secrets Warrior is down there. So please connect with Seth on LinkedIn. Just one link away down in the detail section of the YouTube video. It's also off to the side on Facebook if you're watching this on Facebook. So definitely get in contact with them. And who are the folks that should be reaching out to you, Seth? What type of folks are you usually working with, and what type of folks are you excited to work with?
Well, anyone who wants to have more fun, right? Who wants to be more creative, who wants to have more ideas, who wants to generate excitement in their lives, but particularly entrepreneurs, small business owners, and creative professionals or professionals who want to be more creative, who want to have more visibility in an organization. But it's pretty much for everybody. Everyone could get a piece of the message I'm selling and can help them do whatever they want, because, as you know, creativity is the foundation for everything you do. And the way you express that creativity is through public speaking. So I invite you to join me on our next journey to the peak of public speaking excellence. Sherpa Seth, your friendly guide.
Seth, thank you so much for being on the show today. I know you provided a tremendous amount of value to people. I'm really excited that not only are people hopefully going to be driven over to your workshop, but they know a little bit about more about Toastmasters. Duran, thanks for the comment. Fun is everything. Thanks to everybody for tuning in and dropping comments in. If you found this of value to you, please share it with a friend. Subscribe. Make sure that you tune in every day at 11 a.m. I am bringing you great interviews with thought leaders like Seth, authors, folks that can really help your career. So I'm excited to do that. Excited for you to be in my network. Every Tuesday at 12 p.m. we do Biz Dev Live networking, where people tell their stories to each other. So this is a great opportunity to practice your public speaking and mend your story with the message that you want to get across for people to connect with you. One of the comments that I get back from participants in the networking program is that there's such amazing people in this networking group. And I believe that these are just regular folks, just like you, but people are amazing. You are amazing. And when you share your story, people can see you're amazing. But if you're just leading with your pitch, buy my product, this is this amazing thing that you have to have, nobody gets to see the type of amazing person that you are and all of the connections that would really draw them into you by sharing your story, your background, what happened. You heard Seth's story today about being a young entrepreneur, selling shells for a dime a piece, something he got off the beach for free. Listen, stories really push yourself forward. I remember that story because Seth told it. If you want to be able to do that, participate in things, practice this, make sure you get in touch with Seth. Join our Toastmasters group. That is a great way to also improve your speaking skills. Seth, I'm going to let you get the last word here and say goodbye to everybody. Thank you again so much for being on the show.
Thanks, my friend. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I want to just say thank you for everyone who tuned in. If you want to be like me and have fun just speaking, I can speak for hours and hours. Cameron's a fantastic host, but get in touch with us. This is what we do. This is how we have fun. This is how we can help you have more fun in your life through creativity, through public speaking. So this is Sherpa Seth signing off.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, Seth. Have a great day, everybody. I'm going to go out with the Biz Dev.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.